歡迎大家返嚟謝夫澳洲看房生活頻道。如果你對澳洲移民買樓生活有興趣，記住 subscribe 我呢個 channel， 撳埋個鐘仔。移民咧就已經夠多嘢煩啦，而咧家長咧其中一樣最煩嘅嘢咧就係小朋友嘅教育嘅問題。而佢哋咧通常都分享咧同我講咧，就係好驚呢啲小朋友咧過到嚟咧啲英文程度追唔上啊。今日咧我就揾咗一個我嘅朋友咧，佢喺間咧英文嘅專科學校做 GM 㗎。咁佢就會咧同大家分享下咧佢呢啲英文專科課程咧可以點樣幫到小朋友咧去銜接到本地嘅正統課程裏面啦。今日介紹咧呢個英專學校咧叫做 Union Institute of Language， 簡稱 UIL， 創立於2003年，大約咧有20年嘅歷史㗎，位處於 Springfield， 距離咧 Brisbane 嘅 CBD 咧大約有35分鐘嘅車程。UIL 咧專門咧為中小學咧提供英專課程，去銜接本地嘅本科課程㗎。咁先至聲明啦 ，UIL 咧只係成個 Queensland 咧一間提供相關依類嘅英文課程嘅其中一間學校，而市場上咧亦有其他嘅辦學團體嚟提供類似嘅課程㗎。咁以下嘅內容咧，淨係俾大家參考嘅啫。咁家長咧，如果咧想揾相關嘅課程嘅話咧，亦都咧要自己咧多作比較，睇下邊一間學校咧最適合自己嘅小朋友。咁咧而家咧就好榮幸啊，請到咧呢一間學校咧 Union Institute of Language 嘅 General Manager Ricky 咧同我哋做一個訪問，等佢咧介紹一下咧佢成間嘅學校同埋究竟嘅呢個英文課程咧點樣可以幫到咧大家嘅小朋友咧去融入咧呢度嘅即係整個嘅校園生活啊，同埋咧整個嘅課程。Hello Ricky, thanks for having interview with me today. Can you give some brief introduction about your school?
Sure, of course. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me. So basically, UIL is an English language school in Brisbane. So we're based in Springfield, which is about 35 minutes, drive from the CBD area. There's something unique about UIL because, as you know, there's so many English language schools, in Queensland. Mm-hmm. But what makes UIL unique? Mm-hmm. I guess, a few points. Location. Yeah. As I mentioned, we are based in Springfield, but majority of the English colleges were based in the CBD area. Yeah. So why we pick Springfield as our location? I guess, first of all, safety. Yeah. Because our, school is predominantly focusing on under 18 students. Mm-hmm. So they're all underage. Springfield is a gated community. Yeah. It's very safe, and we are in the education precinct. So yep. What we're at the moment is called Education City. Yep. So we got 11 schools around of us, and on the left-hand side is the University of Southern Queensland, and then on the right-hand side is TAFE Queensland. Mm-hmm. So it's very safe here, and it's a gated community. So that's why we thought it'd be great if we can have a campus here and look after all the under 18 students. Mm-hmm. The other unique point about UIL is we are tax registered. Mm-hmm. So this is a tax registration. It's a higher education, but we're a bit unique because we used to be the language provider for JCU, James Cook University, mm-hmm. and also TAFE Queensland in Cairns and Townsville. Okay. So we're probably the only private English language college not based in the university, but we are university registered. And the good thing about that is all our program will have to be benchmarked with the English program of the universities. Mm-hmm. For example, UQ, QUT, they've got their international college, they've got their English language programs. So all our program needs to be benchmarked with their program. So that's why I can tell you our quality is good. So, our program quality is good as well.
So it means that your curriculum not just providing for the underage student, but also to the adult in the
Correct.
university.
Yeah. Pretty much from 6-year-old, all the way through to adults. But our main, which I'm gonna touch base later. So there are three main areas of business at UIL. as I mentioned earlier, so we're predominantly focusing on under 18.
Yeah.
Pretty much 80% of our business is actually under 18 students.
Yep.
But of course, we partner with TAFE Queensland, we partner with universities like University of Southern Queensland and CQU as well. So we do pathway. So students can study English with us, the adult students, and they can pathway into the University of TAFE Queensland. But back to the main area of business. So there are three main areas. So the first area is, we call it, direct entry English program. By direct entry means the student do not need to do any external English test like IELTS or PTE, and they don't need to do that, and they just come to UIL. We test them, we enroll them, they study with us, and after completing our English program, they can just pathway into our partner schools.
Okay.
So who are our partners pathway schools? Of course, we've got all the government schools,
You mean all the government's primary and secondary schools?
Yes, who accept international students.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are about 100 of them. So they actually all managed by Education Queensland, but there is a particular department called EQI. They are looking after all the schools admissions. So we're the partners with EQI. So basically it means whoever the student will study with us, after they complete the English program, they can just go to EQI school, primary school or secondary school as well. Brisbane State High, Indooroopilly State High, Kelvin Grove State College. So that's all the public schools, both primary and secondary. And then we also have 20, I think if I were correct, we've got 20 independent school partners as well. We've got Brisbane Boys College, Ipswich Grammar School. If it's girls, we've got St Margaret, St Aidan's, and for co-ed we've got St Peter's, Canterbury, and Springfield Anglican. So for all our partner schools, students finish the program with us, and then they don't have to do any external English test. As long as they successfully complete the program with us, they can go directly into those schools. English language colleges like us, we play the role, where we actually test the students, and we will issue the test report, so we can tell our partner schools, including EQI and those 20 independent schools, where the students' current English level is, how many weeks of primary preparation course or secondary preparation course they need to do before they can reach the required competency. So it's very clear. It's like a formula. So once we know where they are and how many weeks they need, and then we're gonna enroll them, so help them to achieve the goal, so they can eventually go to the dream school they want.
What is the length for the course for, let's say, secondary school student? How long they will have to study here?
On average level, I would say 20 weeks.
20 weeks.
But it varies. Some students, it can be shorter. It can be 10 weeks, right? And or 15. But some other students, for example, last week we've got a student, tested elementary level, but he would like to go to year 10. So there's a big gap in between. So that student in particular would need about 40 weeks to be able to reach. So that's why I say it's like a formula. As long as we know where they are and what the entry requirement of the following institution, then we can work out, the length, how many weeks they would need.
So you have a program kind of assess each student by their progress or something?
Yes.
That's cool.
And once they enroll with us, they start a course. So every 5 weeks, we have a report. So in the report, so we're gonna tell, the agent, the parents, and also follow institution, how they progress. And not just academically, but also, because majority of the students gonna live with our homestay family. So every 5 weeks, we have a report on the welfare as well. How they behave in the homestay. Do they make up their bed? Do they clean them properly? So, do they eat properly? Do they help with the chores, in the homestay family as well? So there's a lot of things in the report. So we can track the students, how they're progressing.
You mentioned about the pathway. After they study in your school, they can go to the public and the private school, generally in Queensland. If the parents ask you to help them to apply those private and public school, and then,
or just select a school, like which one's better.
Yes, advice, or do you charge more, or they need to pay more for you to apply those famous schools?
We actually received a lot of inquiries from the parents, asking the similar question.
Yeah.
So first of all, there's no fees, okay? So because we are a school, we are the language provider for all our partner schools. So if they come to us, our role is just to test them, get them enrolled into the right program, and put them to the right level of the English proficiency. But there's no fees, okay? If we help them to do recommendation on a school selection, we don't charge anything.
I think that would be very helpful, especially for those immigrants. They don't know nothing here. So what is the usual procedure? For example, if there's a parents come to you, my kids want to apply year 7.
So when the parents make a contact with us, so our student service will be engaged with them, and then our admissions team will be arranging the placement test.
Okay.
So
is it online?
It can be online or paper-based. It's just it works either way. It's free of charge. Obviously, we're not going to charge for a placement test, but we do need to test the students so we know where the English proficiency level is. And after that, our academic manager, so she would sit down and look at the test result. And then at that point, we will need to sit down. We've got an admissions team and marketing recruitment team can sit down with the parents to talk about, which school you would like to apply, because for all the government schools, the entry requirement is the same. However, for the independent schools, the English entry requirement for different year level is different. So I have to look at that particular school for year 7 entry. So what's their entry requirement, right? It can be, sometimes it can be IELTS equivalent 4, it can be IELTS equivalent 5, right? So it might vary, but then we can sit down with the academic manager. So the student test as IELTS equivalent 3.0, but he or she would need IELTS equivalent 4.5 to go to that particular school. So that there's obviously a gap, right? And then we can come up with a recommendation. 20-25 weeks. When shall the student start? When will be the finish date? And which term he can actually go into the following institution. So there's a whole range of things.
I think that's very helpful, because even I think that most of the parents, they don't know exactly what their child's English level is, and then can they reach certain requirement to get into certain level of the school. So I think it can get a very precise assessment to those that their kids which level they should go for. That's really good.
And sometimes they got weakness in a certain area. Some students are really good at reading and writing, but then speaking might be a bit weaker. So in that case, we need to really come up with the accurate recommendation, right? So to help them to achieve the goal.
咁大家咧可以上去 URL 嘅網址嗰度咧揾到咧更多關於課程嘅資訊啦，而且咧亦都咧可以揾到咧佢哋嘅收費㗎。所有嘅收費咧亦都寫得好清楚，包括咧課程嘅收費啦，同埋 homestay 嘅收費，亦都一目了然㗎。Hello Ricky, can you tell us what is so special of your school curriculum?
The curriculum? As you can see, so this is what we call activity wall, all the photos. So here at UIL, we run our program a little bit unique. We actually run a 4+1 model. So 4+1 means the student gonna study in a classroom for 4 days from Monday to Thursday. But every Friday we'll take them out to do activities. That's what we call outdoor education, because we believe if they stay with us for 20 weeks, they need to go out and see the world, see Australia, to see the society. And plus, we've got students from all nationalities. They need to make friends, talk to each other. So we would encourage them, when they go on activity, talk to each other, make friends. So you can see all these program activities. It can be entertainment, it can be educational, it can be fun as well. You can do sports, but we also work with the steampunks, right? So they can work on those the AI stuff and the high tech stuff as well. And then we also run camps, right? So this might be a little bit culture shocking for our Asian Asian students, but take them to the camp. It's not just about fun. It's actually to tell them, they have to be independent, to do a lot of things by their own, and to really to get to know the culture, the nature, and the culture here as well.
Yeah, that's very important. Especially, I found that the Hong Kong student compared with the Australian student is more active and
they're very hands-on.
And then they want to do everything by themselves, but Hong Kong students mostly they're spoiled by their parents. They want to rely on their parents a lot. So I think such program you can help them to more easy to adapt to the Australian life because they're going to live here.
Exactly. You're in Australia now. You need to know.
I think maybe the parents need to join this program as well because
maybe not the parents, but we need to take them out of the classroom. And then really get them close to the nature.
And any special thing you can help them to join back to the ordinary school.
We're the English language school, but our English program will just be like a generic English training. Like what they probably understand is like IELTS training, what the TOEFL training, what PTE training, back in the home country, but it's actually not. If I can summarize it, so our program, like I said, a primary school preparation program, secondary school preparation program, is more like a academic English program, customized for our students. So in the curriculum, we will have the components like linked to the high school primary curriculum. So they will have to study science, have to study information technology, have to study arts. So all these will be linked with the following institution curriculum, and that's how we can prepare them to get ready for the mainstream study as well.
大家喺佢哋嘅網頁裏面最後嗰欄嘅 contact 咧，就可以咧揾到方法去聯絡佢哋噶啦。可以用 email， 可以用 WeChat， 亦都可以用電話。咁如果咧你想咧我將你嘅問題咧轉交俾 Ricky 嘅話咧，你亦都可以用我嘅 WhatsApp 咧將你嘅資料啦、你嘅聯絡方法啦，同埋你嘅問題 forward 俾我。咁咧我就可以咧將啲問題 forward 俾 Ricky 啦。咁我本身咧就認識 Ricky 㗎，咁我聽完咧佢做嘅嘢之後咧，咁我覺得咧有好多移民嘅朋友或者家長咧都未必知道喺澳洲本地咧有一啲類似嘅英專課程可以幫小朋友咧銜接到本地嘅中小學課程㗎，所以我就膽粗粗咧就問阿 Ricky 可唔可以同我做個訪問啦，咁希望咧提供咧一啲嘅資訊咧可以幫到大家，又或者咧可以喺幫小朋友揾學校嘅時候咧多一個方向，多一啲嘅睇法啦。咁好多謝咧大家支持謝夫澳洲看房生活頻道，我哋下集見。